Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys all about the 5 books that I read in March. Starting off with Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. So this book is a thriller about this murder mystery between two best friends, and basically one of the girls ends up murdered and everybody in their town thinks that her best friend did it, but basically her best friend doesn't remember anything about that night. So you're kind of going through the book, figuring out what actually happened and what led up to it. And also there is this podcast, crime podcaster who wants to interview her, so that kind of plays into it. And overall it was a really good book. I give this book 4.5 stars, and my official review says it was pretty predictable, but overall I really enjoyed it. I thought the female main character was funny, and I even liked the romance subplot a lot. The short chapters were a bonus. The second book I read in the month of March was Beach Read by Emily Henry, and this is about Gus and January, and they're both writers and they actually went to college together, but they were not really friends. January thought Gus kind of hated her and her writing and thought she was not a good writer. And they're basically polar opposites. So January writes romance and Augustus Gus writes literary fiction. So they end up living in neighboring beach houses in Michigan, I think, and they kind of are both in a rut, right, they have a writer's block, so they make this deal to help each other get out of writer's block and kind of write a new genre of a book that is not typically what they would write. I gave Beach Read 4.5 stars. It didn't really give me a 5-star feeling because I originally started it I think in January of this year, and then I finally got around to finishing it. So there was a period of time where I had to kind of refresh my memory. I think that was why it was not a 5-star. But I thought it was interesting, between Sonia and January, how January spent the whole time trying to avoid thinking about her when her situation was actually a mirror version of Sonia's. And I thought the plots of Gus and January's books were very out there. If you know, in Gus's book, he is exploring this cult, and it was just very different from what this book is sold as. It's a very the cover gives happy vibes and stuff like that, but and they interview these cult members and stuff. That's a very tiny subplot of it. It was just very different than what I thought it was going to be. The next book I read was called The Silent Waters by Brittany Cherry, and this is about our female main character is basically she wasn't born mute, but something happened in her life which caused her to lose her voice. So she's kind of learning how to regain her life back and her voice back. And the male main character is a part of a band, so he is also her best friend and her stepbrother's best friend as well. Tragedy also finds him, so they're trying to move through this tumultuous time together. I gave this book 4.5 stars, and my official review I wrote, when I read the premise of this book, it sort of gave One Direction fanfic, because the male main character is in a world famous band, or something you would read from 2016 Wattpad. But this book was actually the opposite of that. It was very emotional and deeply moving and such a unique story. And one quote that I really liked was, I think it was from the female main character's like mentor, like she's this old lady and she lives alone, but she also wants to help her regain her voice back. And she says sometimes we are our own worst enemies. One must learn to be discerning with one's own thoughts. We must be able to decipher the truth versus the lies of our minds. Otherwise, we become enslaved to the shackles of struggle we placed on our own ankles. And I thought that was like, I feel like, I don't know, very relevant to what the main character is like going through. Next, I read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, and this follows a very famous like travel YouTuber slash blogger, and she suddenly becomes like the sole guardian for her sister's baby, like newborn baby, because her sister is like struggling with drugs and like addiction and stuff. So she gets like this really small apartment and tries to like raise this child on her own. When she meets this, well, I think he's her neighbor, but he owns like the whole apartment complex, and he's a lawyer as well. So he also kind of helps her raise her daughter, and yeah, just going through that change, but also something she is struggling with, which is why the title is Life's Too Short. It's like oh, she has ALS, which um is like a family disease, and her mom and her other sister like both died before their like 30th birthday because of this disease. I gave this book 4 stars, and my review was that it dealt with a lot of tough things like terminal illness, drugs, etc. But Jimenez wrote them in a way where it was light and not too heavy. I also love that Vanessa and Adrian adopted the baby in the end. The last book that I read in the month of March was The Match by Sarah Adams, and this is about Evie, who has dealt with epilepsy her whole life, and she of course needs a like service dog to help her if she has a seizure, and like they're trained to know what to do, especially because she lives alone. And she also works for this service. It's called Southern Service Paws, which helps train like dogs to be assistants to people with epilepsy, and I think other kinds like stuff like that. And then one day she has an appointment with somebody who wants to know more about these service dogs, and it actually is this dad with a young daughter who has epilepsy, and she really wants this service dog. So she helps train Daisy, which is their new dog for their family, and helps them like get accustomed to what it would be like her having to get their like the medicine, and like being there when she has her seizure, because she's not going to be like conscious, I guess. I gave this 3.5 stars, and I said it was just a cute palette cleanser book, not really anything else to say, but I did like the parallels between Joe and Evie to Evie and Sam, as well as the epilepsy representation, and of course the dogs too. Those are all of the 5 books that I read in March. I hope you guys enjoyed this short video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because it really helps out my channel and just grows it even more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.